You are listening to the IFH Podcast Network. For more amazing filmmaking and screenwriting podcasts, just go to ifhpodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to the Successful Screenwriter Podcast, where we discuss anything and everything screenwriting. Here we interview successful screenwriters and filmmakers to find out just what it takes to make it in the industry. All right, welcome to the podcast. I have on a pretty cool guest today. We have on Tina Rozen. Trina was the director of accounting at CBS Studios. She's a CPA, and she has a really cool business she started called Writer's Room CPA, and this is specifically about doing taxes, making money as writers, and what to do with it. And I thought bringing her on is a great idea because we can kind of get a new angle on what it is being a screenwriter and starting your own business. Trina, thanks for being with us.
Hi, Geoffrey. Hi, listeners. Nice to be here. Super excited to join the podcast and talk to you all about money.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just kind of get a brief breakdown as a screenwriter, as an indie screenwriter. If you are maybe doing pretty okay, you're starting to make some money as a screenwriter, you're selling a few scripts, maybe you're getting optioned a little bit and something's coming in. When do you know when it's time to incorporate as a business?
So, when you consistently start making money year after year. Okay. If you're kind of in between gigs a lot, maybe you're not ready to incorporate just yet because you have annual requirements with a corporation.
Okay.
And so it depends case by case, but the sweet spot, I would say at least 150 a year.
Okay.
So that's kind of the sweet spot, but we would have to look at everyone's case on case by case basis because we don't want to incorporate if you're not ready, and if you don't have enough expenses to write off, then the corporation will actually cost you.
Right. So if an indie writer, obviously $150,000 a year is a lot of money. So if an indie writer isn't making that, are there any alternatives that they can start looking at doing instead of going for the big incorporation?
I mean, I think the only alternatives it would be to get a gig under a W-2 or actually be an employee of the production. That way the production will, front your FICA and your Social Security and your Medicare. Otherwise, you still will get tax deductions, but I would hate to put a writer in the S Corp because it is more expensive.
Okay.
So they could still be a 1099, a Schedule C, and they will get their write-offs, and it's not going to be as grand, but they'll still get something.
So if you're in the S branch of tax deductions, you get some write-offs, but not as much as if you were working for the production itself.
It depends. So when you're working for a production itself, and let's say you're making like $100,000. Right away, the production will pay your FICA and social. They'll probably be around $9,000. So if you don't have $9,000 of deductions, just because, you're probably writing from home.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of indie writers, I mean, they could get paid. I mean, there's indie writers out there that get paid nothing. Right. And they just want the deal they work out is for exposure and credits, which I never recommend that. But if that's what a writer feels they need to do, that's what they need to do. I always want writers to get paid. But I mean, I know indie writers that get paid anywhere from per script, 10, 30,000. I mean, there's writers that only get paid a couple of grand. So if you're in that kind of a lower tiered paid category, is there any tips you have for those writers?
So I think once you're in that lower tier, and again, your break can come anytime. You've seen it. Like they keep writing, and then a huge break comes their way, and then they can incorporate right away. Home office, that's a big deduction.
Okay.
Especially nowadays, you can actually get a pretty sizable tax break. Travel, and I know we don't do a lot of travel now, but when we start traveling, to get inspiration and ideas, that's a big tax deduction.
So a home office deduction gives you a big tax deduction because you're basically working out of your office, and you can claim things like I'm assuming internet streaming, all the things that you work on. Wonderful.
Utilities, if you live in a condo, homeowners association, water and power, we'll do an allocation, and every bit helps. Every bit.
Any little bit helps. So your Netflix, you could write that off.
Yes, so that goes on the research. If you have your Apple TV, Netflix, Amazon, all of that good stuff.
All under research. Wonderful.
All under research. Yeah.
Very good. And what are some ways that you recommend writers kind of organize and get ready for financially?
And depends on what stage you are in your career. If you're, if you're a lower level and you're just starting out, an Excel spreadsheet or even a piece of paper will help. But you kind of start, if you need more organization tools, QuickBooks Self-Employed is a great tool.
QuickBooks.
It doesn't require a lot of accounting knowledge, and you can take pictures of your receipts, and it kind of keeps track for you. And that's a cheaper alternative. Yeah,
my wife gets on me because I'm pretty disorganized, and and we've been eyeing the QuickBooks potentially. I mean, I've got Excel spreadsheets up the wazoo, and I print all kinds of stuff up, and it's all over the place. So okay, so it sounds like QuickBooks sounds like it's a good choice.
Self-employed, I think what I like that's different than the Excel spreadsheet, then you can actually attach pictures of your receipts, and it keeps it there forever.
Oh, very good.
If you ever need to get, refer back to, if there's, God forbid, an audit, then, all your stuff is kind of in the one place.
Okay. Is that an expensive software or?
It's pretty cheap. I want to say
good.
It's about $100 a year.
Yeah, so that ain't bad.
Self-employed. If you're not a corporation and just a self-employed writer, I think that's a great alternative.
So are there any other tips for organizing financially?
I think you should start keeping a budget. There's a lot of budget apps out there, kind of knowing what your expenses look like year over year.
Okay.
Again, just keeping track of things, really. And I think having a separate checking account really, really helps. Even if you don't make a lot of money, in case there's ever an audit, IRS does not look favorably on someone that keeps everything in one checking account.
So keep a business checking account's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Even if you're not incorporated,
Still okay to do.
Yeah.
All right. So if you say you have a writer who's not going to incorporate, but they want to make their own business, do you have any tips for that?
The good thing about just not incorporating and having your own business, you can start it and you can close it at any time. You don't have compliance requirements. You can, your business could be your name.
Right.
Or you can create a DBA. So that's easy.
And there's special tax breaks that come with that?
So there are some tax breaks. Yes. You can write off your expenses.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about getting the right stuff when it comes to money in 2021. It's a different kind of year. We're not driving around. We're not going out. The economy is trying to roar back. It's trying to open, but I know they've been talking about another potential wave of these COVID-19 variants coming in, and potentially, there have even been rumors of shutting down again eventually. So I think we're going to be looking at pretty much more of the same for the next year until these vaccinations finally start to become more popular. I looked at a statistic that said at the rate we're going, vaccinations will take 7 years before everyone gets one. So I like to hope that doesn't happen. So what do you think for 2021 would be some good ways of making money?
So I think, saving money, I think if you just kind of look back at your 2019 credit card statement,
okay,
March 2019 versus March 2020, it might be a very eye-opening experience.
Yeah.
How many personal services and stuff that we could do without, and really buckle down and save money. So I think just reviewing those sets of credit card statements will help you kind of guide people in 2021. And do I really need all of this stuff?
Yeah,
especially when we're not making money.
I've been wondering about that because, I look back at how I was pre-COVID, and I would treat myself. I'd have treat myself days. I'd go out, I'd maybe go a little extra shopping, or, go get a massage or something like that. And obviously that's not happening now. So I'm saving money in that aspect. But then what I am spending more money on is like DoorDash. I'm hiring people to go get me food, or I'm hiring people to go grocery shopping for me. So now I'm wondering, am I spending just as much as I was in 2018 than I was now, but in the same kind of way. So I actually haven't looked at those statements, but I'm wondering if I'm just reallocating, treating myself in a different way. Yeah.
Spending the same, but you have different spending habits.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yes, maybe, but I think it's an eye-opening experience if you compare the two.
Yeah, to go through and see really what is what you're spending money on, and then buckle down and maybe make more dinners at home.
Yes.
All right. So do you have any other kind of tips or suggestions for screenwriters out there that are trying to, take their game to the next level, save some money, they're using their deductions, they start their own business, but they're not at a level of incorporating yet?
So, putting money away in a simple IRA, any dollar you put away, there's, tremendous amount of tax savings on that, once you pay taxes, that money is gone forever. But if you're able to stash something away into your IRA or your SEP, then you get an instant return on your investment just on tax savings.
Well, let's talk about that, because there's going to be writers out there that don't know what an IRA are, or I think what you said is an SAP. Yeah. So give us a breakdown.
So an IRA is just a simple retirement account, and you can put away $7,000 or less a year. It doesn't require a financial advisor. You can start one online. You can start one in your bank, and it's just a pretty simple, retirement structure.
So you just throw money into this IRA and cap it up to $7,000 a year, and then what happens with that?
And it grows. It's invested in mutual funds, and hopefully you get growth on it and interest, and it's tax free, and you get to save money on your taxes.
So with the IRA, so let's say I put $7,000 in there. Any writer, let's say they sell a script, they get enough to put the cap it at $7,000. After a couple of years, it grows to I don't know, we'll say 10,000. Can they pull all of that out? Do they need to wait a certain amount of time? What are the rules when it comes to the IRA?
So usually you have to wait till your full retirement age, which is 59 and a half. If there is an emergency, there are emergency provisions that are not going to penalize you for taking money out.
Okay. So you build your own retirement. That's kind of cool. And what is the other option?
So if you're, if you're able to put away more than $7,000, the other option is self-employed SEP, and you can put away up to 25% of what you've earned.
Is that the same as a retirement? You still got to wait till you're 59?
Yes, the rules are the same. It's just the limits. So, for a starting person, I think IRA is just good enough. And then as you start making money, you can have your self-employed.
I think that's interesting. I know there are a lot of indie writers out there that they have a day job, they have a night job, they might have 2 or 3 jobs, and the writing is their passion. And I know nowadays it's not like with our grandparents where they had pensions and be taken care of. Now you have your own kind of retirement, and you have to put into it at the day job, and then whether they match, they don't match, or who knows how much you're getting in there. I know there's a lot of insecurity in my generation of Generation Xers about retirement. The big joke is we're all going to be working until we're 95. And so it could be interesting if you have a screenwriter out there who is working a full-time job, and maybe they do sell a screenplay. They could take that money, they could invest it into their retirement. I think that's an interesting option that, I don't know if anybody would have really considered. I would think a screenwriter would sell that script and then probably, treat themselves. But I think putting in a retirement is a really great idea.
Yeah, and I think again, it's case by case basis. A lot of screenwriters out there, they have gigs that they're not necessarily covered by a company plan.
Right.
If you're not covered by a company plan, IRA or a SEP is a great way for you. If you are covered by a company plan, there's some limitations that we would look at. But again, majority of screenwriters probably will be gig workers that are not covered by a company retirement plan.
Right. Yeah, I think they won't get that until you have writers that are actively working on television or something like that, working for like the WGA.
Yes.
And then they would be able to do things like you would say, like incorporate or be able to work for the company itself to be in a different type of tax.
I think it's important to reiterate that that's an option. It's always available, regardless of how little or how much money you make. And, even if you net out $10,000, I think it's a great investment to invest in yourself and your retirement.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty brilliant idea.
This podcast is brought to you by TheSuccessfulScreenwriter.com, where you can find instructional books, videos, courses, and screenplays of Hollywood's biggest hits to download. As an added bonus, visit www.thesuccessfulscreenwriter.com to download The Guide for Every Screenwriter for free. Yes, free. Available exclusively at thesuccessfulscreenwriter.com. Now, back to our show.
When I first decided to really try and make a break into screenwriting, I had already been writing for about 10 years, but when I decided, okay, I want to see what's going to happen, I started entering into film festivals around the country, around the US, and even internationally, actually, with a script that started doing really, really well, winning awards, getting acknowledgments. And I traveled everywhere from LA to London, actually. So is there any kind of tax exemptions that come with that?
So traveling for a screenwriter, air ticket, bus ticket, train ticket, and your hotel is automatically covered.
Okay.
Sometimes you will know that you don't travel by yourself. You
right.
Like a wife or a kid or a relative or a friend.
Oh yeah, we had family vacations while I was going to film festivals.
So a lot of my clients will ask me, well, okay, does that automatically disqualify my travel because I bring somebody with? And the answer is no. So your personal ticket and your hotel are covered.
Oh, great.
Your wife and kids, your friends, your acquaintances are not. But the hotel, they can stay in the hotel with you because it is covered by you. So what I tell my clients is just book your ticket with your business account, and your wife's ticket goes on your personal credit card, and you're pretty much covered.
Right. And then book the big room because you got everybody there. Get the nice room under the business account.
It's the nice room. You need it.
And then you can use that as a write-off. Oh, that's a great idea. And plane tickets are covered. Is gas covered? Food, anything like that?
So you think that's transportation. You take a taxi, you take an Uber to your destination, you go out to eat, your meals are covered, your wife's are not. But again, it's a deduction. Because you're working, for your gig.
Right. So you set up your business checking account. You put everything under that business checking account when you're traveling, when you're buying plane tickets and things like that. And then you can use all of that to get deducted. Oh,
and
that's great.
And it helps to have a separate credit card too.
Yeah.
Business credit card.
Business credit card.
That helps.
Yeah.
Because you wanna appear that you are segregating your expenses, and you're actually really careful and you care. And, once you have that impression, then you're fine.
Perfect. Yeah. So then even getting a business credit card, but you probably want to be careful that you're not getting one with a high APR and everything like that.
Yeah. I mean, of course, it's like the whole point is you're segregating, and you're showing IRS or anybody that wants to look at your taxes that you actually know what you're doing, and, the rules, and you're really careful not to commingle your personal and business expenses.
Perfect. So what about, because a lot of the screenwriters that I know, it's like a gig economy, right? You're have your day gig like we talked about, but then you get the random screenwriting gig that comes in, could be good money, could be not so good money. So tax wise, as a gig working in a gig economy, like what do people need to know?
You need to keep track of your expenses, really,
Okay.
because you don't want the whole gig to be taxed. So you want to write off as much as you can that's available to you legally. You know, you
Okay.
going, you're driving to a gig,
Right.
you're driving to, a manager's office, or you're driving to a pitch, your Zoom
Right.
membership, that now
Yeah.
that's relevant. So think of it as being a small business, really.
Okay.
And think of all the expenses that you have as a small business.
So as a screenwriter, it's best to look at yourself as a small business.
You are a small business.
Yeah. Perfect. You're your own mom and pop shop.
You're your own mom and pop. And I know a lot of creatives don't think that way, but in essence, you are a small business, and there is some for-profit motive, of course.
Yeah. No, I think that's important because I could see how you could make a lot of land a gig and make some money with this gig, but then you're not thinking as a business, and so then you get taxed to hell out of it, and then you lose all of that hard-earned money. So I think considering yourself a business, changing your perception as a screenwriter to start taking those steps towards creating your own personal business, whether you can make it into the incorporated level or not, is still important in helping you create gains.
Yeah, and I think you won't believe how many clients, especially younger ones that are just starting out. Well, I didn't realize I can write this off, and I didn't realize I can write that off. And I think just working with a CPA or an account that can help you even set it up. Okay, what is tax deductible?
Right.
And going through your expenses, like research.
Yeah.
Netflix, that's research.
No, I think that's great. And so you have a business that does that. It's Writers Room CPA, which you specifically work with writers, and I'm guessing of all levels to be able to help them focus on where to best maximize their taxes.
Yeah, and how to manage their money, and how to plan for retirement, and really teaching them of how to manage it in a holistic way.
Well, tell me more about that.
So when I say holistic way, is you constantly do this dance of trying to manage your lifestyle, your retirement, and your taxes. And,
right.
If you don't manage it right enough, you're going to be left with this very ugly, surprising tax gift on April 15th.
Right.
So I tell my clients that taxes are a monthly expense, just like your car lease and your utilities and your going out. So let's plan for it during the year and just file the taxes, and there's nothing due on April 15th. So kind of trying to help them manage on a monthly basis rather than once at their tax appointment, I guess.
I think that makes a lot more sense. You're preparing for the big moment instead of, I don't know, I don't want to say I'm like this, but every year I get a little nervous, like, oh man, let's see what happens this year. Am I going to owe anything? Like that's always the big worry. So,
so help our clients feel secure when they don't have anxiety and they come into a tax appointment and say, oh God, I don't even want to know.
Yeah.
We kind of trying to manage them, and they're like, okay, it's all taken care of.
And so do you have a website?
We have a website. It's called writersroomcpa.com.
Oh, well, look at that. That's super easy to get to. Very good. Do you offer free consultations or anything like that?
Yes. So we offer free consultation, and you can book it directly from our website. And it's a 15-minute consultation where we kind of dive in and see, what's your situation, and, are you ready? Are you not ready? And just give you tax advice for free.
And it's a non-committal, like.
No, there's no commitment.
Yeah. No, that's great.
And I have clients, that talked to me 3 years ago, and then they call me 3 years later and they say, I finally made it. Are you accepting new clients? So that's cool.
No, it's such a great thing to do. I actually offer the same thing, a free 15-minute consult at wefixyourscript.com. And I've had people from South Korea to South Africa call me and just talk screenwriting, and it's non-committal, but I like it. I'm sure you like it too, because you get that community interaction, you get to help people, and whether or not they they go for your services, you still, at the end of the day, you've done something good. And I'm willing to bet, though, that after you chat with somebody, they're more than willing to work with you. So
exactly. And I'll be able to tell you at the 15 minutes, consultation, you're not ready. Call me when you're ready. And, we'll talk about when you're ready, and, we'll never sell you anything that you're not ready for. And
yeah, and that's perfect. And that's the sign of somebody that actually cares, because you're not going to just take advantage of a desperate screenwriter out there, which is beautiful. All right, Trina, well, I wanted to say thank you very much for stopping by on the show.
Thank you, Geoffrey.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share in your social media, where you can tag us at The Successful Screenwriter.